In Davos, you kick it off with a couple events. One of them is always Richard Edelman's Edelman Trust Barometer. We were so busy in Davos. He was so busy. He was like on one end of the valley. I was on the other end with that gorgeous church steeple. Between us, we never even spoke. It was a disgrace. So I'm glad to have you here. It's a great study. It's an important study. When did you start doing the Trust Barometer?
We started in 2001 after the battle in Seattle, Tom, when the NGOs really became prominent. And then 2002 was the decline of Enron Global Crossing. 2008 was a subsequent huge drop in trust in business after the financial collapse. And now we have the new data.
And full disclosure, folks, this is like 60 or 70 pages. It's like a big, thick book. And I unfortunately have to read it cover to cover. It ruins my week before Davos. He's kind of to give me a front copy. And it's every year is different. What's a single distinction this year?
I think the big drop in trust in the United States is the distinction, and it was across every institution, and it was because of the epicenter of trust violations last year, also the fighting between business and government, which was corrosive.
Got a couple snippets of it here. Richard, look down here. You can see the headlines from Egypt below us. Folks, let's bring that up right now. The Edelman Trust Barometer, a stark exception. The U.S., fourth from the top in trust years ago, eons ago, sinks to the bottom. Above the UK and Russia, who do we blame?
I think you have to really blame the financial institutions for the collapse of 2008 and 2009.
Do you blame Washington?
I thought also that Washington got very combative with business, and it really deprived executives of confidence. So it's both.
Okay, let's bring up another idea here from this. Bring it up again down here. This is on Fortress. I like Fortress. You think of Jamie Dimon. Trust supplants the Fortress framework in which corporations have protected their brands and controlled information. Some would say Richard Edelman's the king of control. What's the new Edelman control model for your clients?
I think it's really a triangle. It's what you do, how you do it, and where you talk about it. And in fact, the smart company is realizing that it takes 3 to 5 times, as many as 10 times, for people to see information before they believe it. There's such skepticism out there that people feel violated by the constant crises.
A guy at Davos was the CEO of Verifone, was on there. He sat in his chair just before he went to Davos. He was just like, here's what we're doing, here's what's going on. You could tell he didn't have a general counsel and 6 handlers around him. Are we tilting more towards a CEO that's like Dimon or others that actually says what they think? Or are we going to more scripted CEOs in 2011?
It's definitely the more spontaneous CEO. And also, the CEO trust really rose this year, Tom. It surprised us.
Right.
And in fact, CEOs are the #1 source of information during a crisis. That amazed us.
Yeah.
So, in fact, they have the responsibility to be out front and also to act differently, to be open and to talk in a way that people can understand instead of that script stuff.
Well, people understanding, that would be Washington and policy and understanding that. Earlier this morning on surveillance, I spoke with Bill Gross of PIMCO, and I asked him what policy Washington needs to take on jobs.
Needs to have some direct influence as opposed to indirect influence. The approach to this point has been through tax incentives and accelerated depreciation, and the problem that runs into is that corporations ultimately have to see final demand from the consumer. It's all well and good to get some tax breaks, but they're not going to invest until they see demand and yes, employment coming up and unemployment coming down.
Bill Gross linking in there, Richard Edelman, policy along with economics. We're sort of in search of I'm going to call it almost a new animal spirit. Some call it spin, which I think is not the right word, but it's almost controlling the rhetoric of politicians and CEOs. What rhetoric would you like to see from the people in Washington that don't take your advice?
The government has to act as referee and not leader. It's fine to set the rules, but then let the animal spirits progress from business.
Did you hear that in the State of the Union? There was a Sputnik State of the Union.
I began to see hope for that, Tom, and I see also in the appointment of Bill Daley and the designation of Jeff Immelt to that special task force to reinforce growth. I definitely see the administration moving center.
I want to switch gears. Edelman PR, you've been doing this. How long has Edelman been doing this? It's like
since 1952.
You guys advised Alexander Hamilton, right?
Well, maybe my father's great spirit did. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you've been doing it for a few years, like Mad Men years. You think about Mad Men and the whole social landscape and what PR does. When everybody gets together at Edelman, or you get together with your colleagues in crime, what is the new theme of PR pushing against people that say, "Oh, it's no good. It's covering up what we need to know"? What's the new thrust of public relations?
What I'm telling people is really that the media business has morphed into a four-leaf clover. There's mainstream media, like you, but you've also moved into new media, clearly, blogs, etc. There's social media, Facebook, Twitter, and then there's a company's own media. So Walmart has its own facts about environment and sourcing. But the key that connects it all is a different modality for what we do. You got to get away from the control mentality. You've got to have conversations continuously. Let employees speak. The most credible person now, Tom, other than an academic, is a technical expert within the company, not the CEO.
I said this on radio today, Richard Edelman, that your Trust Barometer had a huge influence over how we pick guests at Bloomberg Surveillance and Surveillance Midday. Academics, the white tower's on top of the heap, isn't it?
In a time of chaos, people look for credentials. And so it makes sense that it's an academic, a technical expert, or a financial analyst who's really got the goods. And that's why you should have them on your show.
Thank you, Richard Edelman. Thank you so much. The Edelman Trust.